Jeff.
Hey,
Hello.
I'm just on my dad's computer, so that's why it's Jeff. But anyway, so can I share my screen?
Sure.
It'll just tell me to. Okay. So it's just over here in agendas. I have this one agenda for a meeting, and so I want to add a speaker, and I have this speaker. His name is Howard Irick, and um my speakers are over here, but he's right here, and I have his name. He is named as Howard Irick, and I got like, everything. And then when I go to agendas, eh, sorry, and I try to add him as a speaker, his name ends up as like this like weird thing, and then like it like I don't know, it just doesn't turn out looking right or with the right name. But it's got like the right picture, and I know it's the right person, but it just doesn't have the right name.
Yeah, so that definitely looks like a bug. Um, so we'll give that to the dev team and let's see if they can fix that overnight, Justin.
Yep.
So that's the panels dashboard or the panels template. No.
Uh,
Yeah.
Let me find out. I don't even know. It's yeah, the panels.
Yeah.
And then
It's
one
weird.
more
It's weird that it's not happening for all of them. Would you do me a favor on the left-hand side, go to speakers? No, on the left-hand
oh,
side under features, go to speakers and then scroll down a little bit. And can you go into him?
yeah. And I have his
And
name
would you do
right.
me a favor? Would you like copy that so that you have it and then just remove his last name?
Oh, just the name.
Yeah, just the name and then just delete his last name and save it. And now pop back to agendas. No.
Yeah,
And
it's
to
still
use
the same.
you and actually based on what Muddy said, would you toggle the preview on? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've already tried I like deleted him and then re-added him and everything, but he's just not. It's
Yeah.
not.
No, I gotcha. Um, so that's going to be a bug, and we'll get the team working on it and hopefully push a fix for that overnight for you.
Yeah. And then one more thing is I like back in April 10th we had a meeting, and I was like trying to like add stuff to it, and I just like kept adding like going into settings, and then just one time I tried to go into settings, and when I clicked on setting it just goes to a blank screen, and it like doesn't load for like forever. So that's just like
So
there's only one of them that does it. It's just
yeah, I'm gonna guess um, that that has to do with the fact that the agenda is actually linked to a speaker that technically doesn't exist anymore. So, Justin, this is actually another bug that I found the other day, which is for the couple of templates that the agenda item can be linked to a speaker. If you then go and delete the speaker that is linked to that agenda item, you then can no longer edit or delete that particular agenda item because it crashes. Like
well, I
the white screen is the React screen crashing. So that's what's going on here.
yeah, I guess I did add that one guy that I deleted and then re-added him because he wasn't working on the other one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you had two speakers, like Jeff is still listed as a speaker on that particular
yeah.
item, but if you added the other speaker and then deleted him and then re-added him, that's what's going on. So, Justin, that's going to be in that particular case, that's going to have to be given to Tyler or Mike, I guess, to actually fix the data in the database. Because plus so that she can actually either delete or edit that particular item, because it's linked currently, that agenda item is linked to a speaker that doesn't exist. And then we also need to give that to the dev team to make sure that they fix that. So if it gets linked to a speaker that doesn't exist, when we go to edit it, it doesn't crash the app.
Mhm.
So if we could get the dev team to fix both of those bugs simultaneously, because they're both connected to agendas, that'd be awesome.
Will do.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for finding it. All right. So if there are no other questions, then I'll jump into building a dashboard with Dorita. Natalie, as I work on my right fit client, I noticed that the questions are formatted as there. Natalie, is Natalie on this call? No, she's not. Okay. I don't fully understand the question, but it looks like it's an OB related question. So if you're listening to the recording, Natalie, hop on open office hours on Friday and we can talk through that. Is Juanita with us? Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I understand the full.
Okay, I was typing fast, so I probably skipped over some things. So I've gone through OB, I've entered all the information, and it has given me a lot of information. I think where the disconnect is, I can understand how to use it for the lead magnet and some other things, but it seems like there's like a connection of what do I do with the rest of the information? Does that make sense?
I mean, it does. So the information is just, it's all a starting point for you to use in different ways. So,
Okay.
If you're under right fit client and you look at their, their challenges, that information is for you to get to know your right fit client better. Right. And each of those things could potentially be used as a way, as content for, if it resonates. Right. I mean, you take anything that you ever get from AI, whether it's OB or any other AI platform out there, with a grain of salt. Right. It is definitely not the final word on exactly what the challenges are that your right fit client is experiencing. To make matters a tiny bit more confusing, there is currently a small bug inside of OB that is causing some issues with responses that the team is working on. So you may also be getting some responses that don't quite make sense to you. And that's a bug that we're aware of and hopefully will get resolved in the next day or so.
Okay.
In
And
general,
then which icon would I use for maybe copy? Is it the lead magnet?
copy for what?
Like for instance, when we have copy Tuesdays,
Mm-hmm.
would I use some of that information in order to create my copy?
You could, absolutely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
which one of those would I use? Would it be the lead magnet?
It depends on what you're creating a copy for. So if you're creating copy for a lead magnet, you would use lead magnet. If you're creating copy for your event, you would want to create your event PAG, like your actually create your event and get copy for your event. So it depends on what you're like. Everything inside of OB, not conversations, but inside of the core OB is really purpose built, right? So you don't want to get copy for your event from the lead magnet copy. Maybe you can cross over some of it because you're like, I really liked how that was worded. But in the end, it's all just sample for you to kind of get started, right? Everything with not just OB, but any AI platform is not something that you should just copy and paste and publish, right? It's always something that is like, okay, I'm a little stuck I'm using this as my way to get off the blank page and actually get moving. All right, now that I've got this, let's actually get started and go.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, Obi is Obi's just a starting point. It's not the final destination, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay.
All right, cool. Okay. So with that, Dorita, sounds like we're creating a dashboard for you. So do you have do you have like a Google Drive or something that has all of the assets?
Yeah, I sent that to you guys already. Let's see here. I can let me get this.
Can you drop it into the chat? Even if you just DM it to me, if you don't want to share it publicly, that's fine. And what's the organization that we're building this in?
It's in mine, but well, I just created the organization called Envision, but it says 2025.
Envision?
IN capital V.
Envision Mental Health Consultants, Envision Mental Health Consultants 2025.
Correct, 2025.
The second one. Okay. Okay. And assets for...
Was it in my Google Drive, Alana? I do have the email. So
All right, so let me ask you, while we're getting started, one of the first things that I do when I am taking a look at at creating a dashboard, whether it's for me, whether it's for a client, a Leap member, whatever, I always take a look at the sales page that we're driving from first. So what's the link to the sales page for your event?
It's in the chat, thetraumacure.com.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to, just give me a second. Let me just close up some tabs. Jeez, I had a lot of tabs open. Okay, so let's share screen. All right. So we've got your logo up here. We've got a branded page, or kind of almost like a slide that you've turned into an image. So what's the event called? Is it the Trauma Cure?
Yes, the Trauma Cure.
Okay. And do you have a logo for the Trauma Cure? I mean, I see one inside this image, but do you have an image that is just that logo?
No, I don't have one that's just that logo. I probably can grab it real quick in Canva though. Give me a minute and see if I can find that.
And while you're doing that, so do you have this particular this edited image, this 16:9 image?
yeah, I just put in the chat to you, private chat. I'm making a Google Drive because there were files and an email. I'm just moving them over into the Drive.
So do you have that image as a layered image, Alana?
I am
You have all
logging
the different
into
elements
my,
basically that are in here in some place?
yeah, it's in Canva. Give me a second.
Okay. So the pieces and parts that I would like in order to help you with this, I think it would make sense for you to get me your star. I'm going to call it the star. I can probably pull that from the logo on your website, but if you have a high res version of that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Your headshot here that you're using just as a transparent PNG or TIFF would be awesome. And then this logo here, the trauma cure, just that, unless you want to have understanding the biology that drives your psychology. Actually, that as well would probably be interesting. And then on the right-hand side of this image, the background looks like a purple gradient with some texture in it. Can I get that as a standalone image?
I'm sure gonna try. Hold on just a second. I'm giving you the lotus that's in the chat. And I don't have that. Okay, hold on. Let me go to the flyer.
And do you have a template in mind that you want to build this with?
No, I don't. I trust your design skills. I had it set up with more of a black background previously because it was the easiest to do, and I wasn't sure about navigating the
It was classic at
extras.
first. Yeah, it was a classic at first.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And do you want it to continue to be classic, or?
I did not have
they have
problem
the
with
cards
graphics,
and all
so
that. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, it served its purpose. I don't really. It worked fine for me.
Got it.
Okay. All right. I do have the layered version pulled up. So you want the trauma cure, understanding the biology that drives your psychology. You want that whole piece by itself?
Yeah, if we could, I think that'd be cool.
Okay.
Just dropped you the Google Drive too. So.
This is not my thing, so I'm just making a copy and deleting stuff off there. That's the fastest way I can think of to do this.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Can I share my screen so you can tell
Sure.
me if I'm getting the right thing?
And Dorita, do you have a welcome letter or something along those lines?
Okay. So is this what you...
So yeah, let's if you click on the trauma cure, can you copy that and create a new image from that?
Yes, I'm sure I could. Just to take this component of it. Let's see. Copy that. You don't want the background at all. You just want this.
Yeah, I want to be able to adjust it. So here's the thing: when creating, this is for everybody, guys. when you're working with, when you're trying to create any website, not just a dashboard, like in Obvio, but any site at all. In an ideal world, you have the elements that you're trying to, like the graphic elements that you're trying to place on your dashboard, in their own files so that you can place those images where you want them, right? Because right now, if you take a look at that image that's on Alana's website, that's the only format I can use, right? So any place I want, if I want to use Alana's picture, I have to use the whole thing. If I want to use just the logo, I have to use the whole thing. If I want to use just the little, like the star thing, which I know is not called that, but whatever the star thing, then I have to use the whole thing, right? So when you're working with, when you're working with a graphic designer or you're working with somebody who's helping you to build the pages themselves, in an ideal world, you have those individual elements. Same with, well, just that's, I would say, best practices. Now, some people are good graphic designers and can actually, do certain things a little bit easier. For me, I'm actually not a very good graphic designer at all. I spend as little time as I possibly can in Photoshop. It's one of my least favorite applications ever on the planet. But some people are really fantastic in it. And, they can take, so, Alana, or Dorita gave me Alana's headshot as an example. And, I want this on a transparent background so that I can do what I want with just the image, kind of how they've done it on, or this one here, kind of how they've done it in the actual, because that's what they've done with this image here, right? Somebody smarter than me has removed the background and then taken just a portion of that headshot and used exactly what they want to do with it. So some graphic designers are really good and can take, take things that you have given them and manipulate them. Generally speaking, what I would say to you is most of the time, a web designer isn't a graphic designer. Sometimes they cross over, right? Like a really good web designer can also do a little bit of graphic design, but a really good graphic designer can't always do really good web design. So again, for me, when I'm building a dashboard, I usually need the elements as individual things. I'm also going to get the cleanest version of it if that's what I asked for or what I asked for. So whenever you got, for those of you who are in Leap, and I know there's a few of you here who are, when we've said that we'll build your first dashboard for you, which is what we're doing with Dorita. And in order to do that, we just ask for assets in a certain way, right? Including the images that we're talking about, because otherwise I feel like I can't use them, if that makes sense. And those images, right? The logo for her event, her face, her headshot, her glyph that's part of her actual logo. Those are all core elements that are recognizable from her event dashboard. So what we try from our event website, what we try to do is have a consistent experience for attendees when they go from one thing to another, right? So, in an ideal world, when you land on somebody's event dashboard or when you're building your event dashboard, when they land on that dashboard, it's not a completely new experience that they've never experienced before. It is similar in look, design, and feel to the web page that you set up to allow people to sign up for your event. Does that all make sense? So when I'm looking, when we're doing design work for somebody, that's where I start. I say, let me see your event site and kind of go from there. So with that being said, Alana, looks like I stalled enough to get what may be a transparent image. Let's take a quick look.
I hope I saved it with a transparent background. I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, great. And then the other piece that you want to share your screen again, I've got one more piece that I would love to get from, actually two more pieces that I'd like to get from you if I can.
Sure. Hold on, let me go back to sharing. Okay.
Okay, so the purple background, can you try and click on just the background and see how big that particular, the one on the right, let's keep going down. Do like that brain too. That looks like it may be it, yeah. Or that's a portion of it anyway. Can we see that? Or is the background in this particular case multiple? No, that looks like. Okay, so I'd love that in combination with the texture that's overlaid on top of it. So what's right above that?
It's like a brain kind of
No, not the brain. So right, what's that? Click on that and bring that to the front. No, that's the background entirely, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
There's
a textured layer.
Yeah, actually the one that you have selected, bring that to the front. I bet you that's it. There we go. So you see that kind of brain-ish with the circly thing? If I could get that with the purple gradient diagonal thing as its own image, that'd be cool.
Okay, and you just want that image.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Those two together, if that kind of makes sense, both of those elements.
Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna screen snippet.
Okay.
Would that not be quality enough?
It doesn't matter. It's going to be a background, so it's probably fine. And if it's not quality enough, then you can work on getting a replacement for that down the road.
All right.
But I think if you were to just kind of shift click those two pieces, you'd probably be able to just copy and paste them into a new page the same way you did the logo. But all good.
Just going with what I know.
I hear you.
As to not embarrass myself on
Oh, please. There's only 10 of us.
Right,
I mean, at least you're not doing this in front of 500
and the whole world
people.
on YouTube.
Right.
There's 6 people watching on YouTube at most. Don't worry about that.
Okay, I'm showing out for those 6 people.
Yeah, you and me both. Okay. All right. So I'm downloading that.
Oh, good. Thanks, Karen.
Okay, perfect. So here's what I kind of have in mind for this. I'd actually like to use the cards template. So here I'm going to replace the current share. And let me show you what I have in mind, at least for the top part of it. What's the event called?
Okay, so I created the event. If you refresh, I created the event.
Oh.
There it is.
Great. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with an empty template as well, because for me, it's faster to work with nothing than it is to delete all the stuff I don't really want in the page. For you guys, when you're just getting started and you're doing your first dashboard or even your second or third, I would 100% like start with the demo sample data. And I know you can't hear it because Zoom is probably cutting it out, but give me a second. I want to close my door because there's a bunch of they're vacuuming right outside my office and have chosen this time to do it. So give me a second.
And Dorita, I have to move around, so I'm going to save this headshot and then send that over. And then I have to switch over to my phone and get my kids to tutoring.
Okay. I've been dropping whatever you're dropping in the Google Drive.
Hey, Alana, before you leave.
Uh-huh.
Can you get me the brain and the vertical swirl as their own image as well?
The brain and the vertical swirl. Got it.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I'm going to use them, but I kind of like those images. So, so we may. All right. So I'm going to start with cards. I'm going to click select. And I'm going to start by just going straight to my my dashboard. Now, as a starting point in cards, I like to get the background image in place. So I'm going to go to Global Styles, click Background Image, and I'm going to pick this image right here, which is actually, you probably can't see that window. This image is the purple background that I had Alana pull for me. That has the brain and the little bit of white. It's really just meant as a background. And the reason I wanted it as its own image is because when I put it on the dashboard, it just provides a little bit of color and texture without actually having anything back there that I actually have to see, right? So just a good starting point. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take her logo and I'm going to put it into the header. And again, I asked for the logo as a standalone file because I wanted to be able to pull just the logo and put it exactly where I want it, right? So, and in this case, she gave me a pretty large logo. So I'm just picking the part of the image that I actually want, and I'm clicking done. And now I am probably going to reduce the size and click save. So that's probably a little too big. But again, this is why I have the image by itself. So I can scale that image exactly as I want it over top of the purple. Now, you may be saying, Blue, it's not over top of the purple just yet. It's over top of white. That looks like garbage. I agree. So we're going to get rid of the opacity of the background of the header. And now I've got Alana's background image with her logo over top of it. And I'm starting to, this is starting to me to feel a little bit more like this does, right? This image right here, there's parts of this image that I'm trying to emulate in the actual piece itself, in the actual dashboard itself. I'm going to make a couple of other minor tweaks right off the bat. I'm going to change my icon color, which is this little hamburger menu, top right-hand corner of the dashboard, to be white. Because again, I think it looks better. And I'm going to get rid of the welcome message for now. Okay. And Alana, that's perfect. If you can get the swirl, you see, I mean, I can probably get it out of there, but if you can get rid of the icons, the linked in, actually, you know what? I can pull that into Photoshop.
Oh,
It's fine. I can do it. Don't worry about it.
okay. I gotta move because I gotta drive them to tutoring. So I'm gonna log in on my phone.
Yep, no problem. You're good. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of buttons. I'm going to say new button, and I'm going to say main stage. Alana or Dorita, are you guys going to have a help desk for this, or any other buttons that you're going to need throughout the course of the event?
Yes, we have a main stage. Talk to my team.
Like a help desk sort of thing?
Help desk and
Okay, perfect. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to say main stage. I'm just going to make 2 buttons for now, left and right. You can add a second row down the road. My thought here, I don't know if this is going to work out, but I kind of want to make the brain. I kind of want to make the brain an icon. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to quite work, so we're going to see. But this is kind of my thought. Is inside the buttons, rather than using a standard button, which you can do. I'm going to try and just have a little bit more fun with it. So that's my main stage. Let me just click save for now. So you can see how the icon, I'm not sure that looks good because I'm not sure that it's truly visible as a brain, but I'm going to change the colors first to match the website a little bit more. So I'm going to start by going back over here, and I want to pull this kind of greenish color, which is in the background triangles over here, and use that as one of our buttons. So I have a little tool that I use called Color Slurp, which is, it's like a $2 app or something like that in the App Store, and it allows me to pick the hex code for any icon, or sorry, anything that I want on my screen, which is pretty awesome. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to change the text to be, I don't know what that text is, but I'm guessing it's probably Montserrat or Open Sans. In the button to be a little bit bolder. So for me, that's starting to look a little better. I'm going to copy this button here and I'm going to say, talk to my team. And I'm going to click save. And I'm going to keep them both the same, but I'm actually going to add a small border around each of them. 3 pixels, and I'm probably going to make the border white just to add a little bit of separation in between these two buttons. There we go. And then same thing on this one. So border, 3 pixels. Probably have to change that. My hover color to be white as well, which I did on one of them, but not on the other. Okay, there we go. So I've got talk to my team and I've got main stage. The other thing I actually think I'm going to do is for talk to my team rather than the brain, I'm actually going to use Alana's flower. Let's call it the flower image.
Oh, her lotus.
Yeah, the lotus. Okay, fine. There we go. You guys are going to get me to say it correctly eventually. So again, now I've got, because that's in alignment with her, like who she is, her event, and so on and so forth. So there we go. Now we've got 2 buttons. We've got the top end. If I click preview, I think this is a good starting point. Dorita, are you happy with that as a starting point above the fold? Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so next up, the other part of this that you have to work on is what happens underneath. So I am going to create a new blog post just so that I can see it. I'm going to say, welcome to my event. You guys can just copy and paste some new text in there at some point. And I'm going to go to a lorem ipsum generator and just copy and paste, or there's a generator somewhere. I think I just went to the wrong one. Actually, what was let's use Bacum Ipsum. I believe it was Clint Nobles that shared this with me, which is a different version of lorem ipsum, largely focused on bacon and other pork-related products. Not great for the Jewish community, but given the fact that I'm Jew-ish, not heavily Jew, we're just going to go with it. Okay, so it's all good. All right, so there we go. I've got a little bit of a blog post down here. And now I want to see what I'm going to do in this sidebar. And I had an idea as I was looking at this, which is this vertical swirl, to use that as, to use that as the background for my, or for the sidebar. Now, I'm probably going to have to work on it for a second because, well, there's a few things that are in that image that I don't want in it. Do I have Photoshop on this computer? I should have Photoshop on this computer, but the question is, do I? Got a lot of things on this computer, and somehow Photoshop is not one of them. I have Adobe Illustrator. Oh, there's Photoshop. All right, a little slow. Found it. Okay, so the reason I'm pulling this into Photoshop, and you guys may choose to just pull this into Canva, and I'm actually going to just share my whole screen for a second as I do this, which may be a little bit hard to see, but I want to start by actually just editing, taking this image itself. So when I was asking Alana for the swirl, this is the thing that I meant. And she got it perfectly with a couple extra additions that we're going to get rid of. So first thing I'm going to do is I actually want to see everything in this. So I'm going to just drop some black onto the background. And once I do, you'll notice that there's these 2 images that we really don't, or these couple of logos that I really kind of don't want anymore. So in Photoshop, I can just delete them. Nice and easy. And then I'm going to copy and paste just this area right here, which is the swirl. And I'm going to copy the correct layer and create a new image, which I'm going to pull the size from the clipboard. And I'm going to use this kind of as my background is the intention here. Now, because it's not terribly long, I'm not sure that this is going to work perfectly, but we're going to start by changing our canvas size a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit taller. And then I'm going to take the original background image and put it right up at the top like that. All right, now this is the piece that I can never get right. There's a way to create essentially a gradient, and I really suck at that. So we're going to change our background image, our background color, and the background color that I want to use is the darkest purple that exists on that page. So I'm going to pull Color Slurp in again, grab this dark purple, and I'm going to make my paint bucket fill the background with that. Now, I'm going to create a new image, and I am certain that there's a better way to do what I'm doing, but this is where I said I'm really not a Photoshop expert. So what I do, was it do as I say, not as I do, or something like that? So this is where I get a little bit fun and confused. Let's see if I have this right. No, I don't. Okay, so I need to figure out how to change this. When I change the gradient, I always forget how to get into the thing. How do I get to the editor of the gradient? Oh, I don't want that. Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. No, wrong thing. Redo paint bucket. All right. Basics. Ooh, that's kind of what I want. Is that it? Where's the circle coming from? Oh, there. Man, I always get this so wrong. Oh, I've deleted the background layer. There it is. Isn't there something around that? No, I'm doing this wrong. Gradient. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting there. We're getting somewhere, folks. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the bottom of this just kind of fade away into nothing. This will make more sense when you finally actually see the end result, which I promise won't be long. Okay, so now I've got this purpley swirl thing, and I think I've got it in a good place. I'm actually going to stretch it a little bit because I actually think it's pretty cool. And can I move this? No. All right, so by stretching it, now add another. This is, again, like I said, why I don't spend very much time in Photoshop. I'm really not happy in it. All right, there we go. Okay, so I've got my image, and now I'm going to export this as a quick PNG. Okay, and you guys are like, why are you making me watch this? So here's what I had in my head. I thought that it would look decent to have the background of the sidebar essentially be this swirly thing. And done. Now, the real thing is going to be whether or not, how that actually previews. I feel like that's another bug that we're going to have to work out, Justin, which is it continues to flow down through, which we'll say is fine for now, but we'll have to add that to our list of bugs to fix. So I'm going to go back and edit the sidebar. I'm pulling the color slurp, pulling this color one more time. And I am going to
I'm trying to see what the color is.
Here, well, it'll be in the it'll be in the background for the sidebar.
Got it.
But sidebar background, I'm going to make that purple. And then I'm also going to change my header colors to be white. And I'm going to eliminate my border thickness. And I'm going to change my separators to be none and click save. Okay. So now I feel like I'm getting awfully close to what I'm kind of hoping this is going to look like. Hopefully you can start to see where I'm headed with this sidebar thing. This may not be the right thing to put here. It may actually be too much. What's the word I'm looking for? Too much design. The reason is, like, if I want to, because part of what I'm going to want to add here is probably an agenda, right? So if I were to come in here and I go agenda, event agenda.
And I added a few sidebar things in the chat for you. Like it's like a workbook, a playlist, a Facebook group, and a tool.
Okay.
Those are more resources.
Yeah. And once I create the resources, you can add those without any problem. Here below is an agenda for our event. Let's see. And I'm going to change this to be italic, that to be bold. And I want my text to be a little bit different. So I'm going to change my header background color to be, can't I get rid of it? No, doesn't look like I can. Okay, so we're going to make this kind of like that. And I'm going to make my text color white like that. Background color that. And save. Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about, in that I'm not 100% sure that that this background image is going to work, because, oh, what did I just do? Is it not enabled? Rules? What'd I do? When I preview it, where'd it go? Well, that's odd. I'm missing something. Enabled, styling.
Does it maybe only show when there's actually agenda items?
I mean, that'd be weird if it was, but let's try that. Day 1, that actually could be it. Day 2. Oh yeah,
and it's a 2-day. Okay, yeah, and it's a 2-day.
Yeah, that's why I have day 1 and day 2 in there for you. So again, here's where, kind of looping back to what I was saying earlier, I'm not sure that I like the idea of this swirl, but I think it's just going to be overpowering from a background perspective. So
when you do transparent, can you make it a little less visible? Does it, or is it because of the way you created it?
Well, I mean, you can't in Obvio, so that would be something that I would have to come back into Photoshop.
Oh, okay, the
to do.
transparency, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So, where's the tool thing? Man, I hate Photoshop. Just saying. I think it's here, right? I can change this to be a rectangle, and we're going to add another layer, and then I'm going to make this like that, and that should just block it out entirely. And then I'm going to bring it there, and then add a little opacity to it. Again, I'm certain that there's a better way to do 99% of what I do in Photoshop, because I'm just not very good at it. But that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, but I like that image. I'm gonna actually hang on to both of them, but that's cute.
Yeah, me too. So I'm going to export this as a quick PNG again. Sidebar transparent. And then we're going to go back in, remove the sidebar image, upload a new one. And I think this is going to, it's going to be too big, but whatever. That's going to solve our issue. So now it's still there, but now at least it's a little more visible, right? Or a little less bright, I guess you could say. So this is kind of the direction that I would be headed with this. I'll also tell you guys one of the reasons that I love the cards template is while it's not the most complex dashboard, it's really the easiest one. Oh man. It's really the easiest one to customize and make look like your event or make look like you in a fairly quick fashion, right? You need a solid logo, you need a good background image. If you've got those two things, then it's actually pretty easy to customize from there. So that's one of the reasons that I really am partial to this particular. There we go. That's a little better. To this particular template. So welcome to my event. There's a little bit of text. And, it's a little bit bare up top. So this is where I would probably come back in and put a subheading text here. Welcome to the event. Excited to have you here. Right. And then I would go into styling. I would change this to be more in alignment with the brand. Change the font.
In that
color.
version, can you put their name on there? Like when we do the welcome?
Yep. So you can go first. I think it's just space name like that. Comma, welcome to the event. Excited to have you, right? Click save. When you preview it, it'll disappear because the preview doesn't have a name. But when you log in as an attendee, it will be there. I'm also going to make this logo just a tiny bit bigger. And there we go. So, I'm pretty happy with this as a starting point. And now from here, next piece, Dorita gave me some resources. So I'm going to click resources, add this. I'm going to go into resources. I'm going to put a short description. Below are some downloadable resources and links to complete your event experience or something like that. You're going to want to customize that. Now I'm going to click add resource. Let's see. I see one of them is a workbook. So let me click on that. Download the workbook. You can add links as resources inside of your dashboard. So you can just actually copy and paste a link. For files, I personally prefer to actually use the file system. So you can drag a file right onto it. And then, event workbook, and then book, something like that, and click save. So now I've got my event workbook as a resource. Next piece that we got was a playlist. So I'm going to click add resource. I'm going to call it the TCC playlist.
ETC.
Make this to a link. And then I'm going to put more like music as my logo. Click save. Now I've got that. Then I've got a Facebook group that's here as well. So I'm going to add that. Call it
On the previous one that we had set up, we had these as buttons, and you do one of them as a button, so I could just see the how to set it up as a button versus a link. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So there we go. There's our 3 resources. And then there's a tool here as well. What's this tool? What is it? Just high level?
It's how to talk to someone about an issue. It's a worksheet on how to how to talk through the process.
Okay. So it's a PDF. I got it. Okay. And no. There's a paper and pen icon that I can never find when I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is, right at the top. Okay. There we go. So there you go. Now we're going to add a button. I'm going to go add sidebar buttons, click add, new button. And we're also going to make the Facebook group, in addition to keeping it just in resources for now, I'm going to also create a button here for you. And we'll call it TTC Facebook group. Go to a link in a new tab, and then there we go. And then this button I'm going to make the same green that I chose up top. This guy up here, again, just for consistency. Command C.
I think I dropped the number in the chat. I think I caught it earlier.
The what?
The hex code, I think I dropped it in the chat for you.
I just grabbed it from up top. It's all good. Okay, so now I've got a couple of other things that I want to do. I want to try and make this on a single line so that the button looks a little bit better. TCC Facebook group, perfect. And probably like that. And then I'm also going to make the radius of the button a little curved, like that. And I think I'm actually going to customize my background color rather than use the default, and just make it a tiny bit darker. Click save. There we go. And I'm actually going to do the same thing up here. So customize, paste, customize, paste. So I think that way when you hover, it pops, the buttons pop a little bit more. So there we go. Then I'm going to take these buttons and I'm going to put this one here right up at the top. So when I preview it, I've got the buttons and there we go. All right. Sorry, I'm just looking at, all right, there we go. So one of the other things that I usually do at this point is I'll take a look at this page and see if there's something on, if there's a bio for Alana, and usually pull that. Let's see if she has one under about. I don't see one, but do you guys have a?
Yeah, I think
Yep.
we have to pull it. I think it was on her old page, but okay, yeah, we
Okay.
have it, but I don't think we have access.
Great. So what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna go into speakers. And I'm gonna go
On that dashboard, she has a little brain that I put in the Google Drive, and it's her points, her leaderboard points are called Love Brain Points. And it shows in the sidebar.
Okay. So I'm gonna go to speakers. I'm gonna say change this to our host. Our host. Meet our host. And then I'm gonna click add a speaker. Gonna go Dr. Lana. Am I spelling that right? Yeah, I think so. And,
A-L-A, then switch the U and the A in the middle.
and then for her bio, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put the Bacon Ipsum here. Again, you can take that and update it. And then at this point, I'm also gonna drop in her headshot. This one here.
You refresh, there's some other assets in there.
So we're gonna go open, zoom it out a little bit, let it be. Actually, I want to capture the logo in her shirt. Click done and click save. Okay, so now we've got that. Great. Main. Oh, and then I'm going to enable it. All right. And the other thing I'm going to do is let's go back to design. I'm going to change the divider here to be that same green rather than the purple. So there's some consistency there. Okay, so another resource. So another thing that Dorito wanted to add was a points summary. So I'm going to do that. What did you call them?
Love Brain Points. There's a cute little brain with these little hearts around it in the Google Drive. That right there.
Okay. So edit point summary, upload a point logo, love brain points, skip resizing because it's formatted how she wants it to be. And I'm also going to not bury this one. So I'm going to put it up above. I think I'm going to put it up here. You can change this if you want at any point just by dragging things around. I think that kind of looks a little bit better up there. Okay, for your, okay. You currently have leaderboard points. You currently have X, and then this is how many leaderboard points you have. Keep digging around the dashboard and stay engaged for the full event to earn more points. All right, now I'm going to go to attendees and points. I'm going to go to page settings. I'm going to enable this. Call this okay, below it's the top 200. How many attendees are you planning on having?
About 30.
Below is the leaderboard, the event leaderboard. All right, and then leaderboard, love, brain, points. You have reached blah, blah, blah. You have received 17 love brain points for action description. Okay, there we go. Click save. Actually, I'm going to change the pop-up background to be the purple that we've been using.
Catherine, where did he put that? TEH.
When he was talking about the points, it was in that little bit where he's copying a lot of stuff he wrote real fast.
Oh, okay. I'll make a note. Okay, I'll go back and look at that.
I think it's like that. There we go. Did I? Okay. Is there a preview of the pop-up background? There used to be. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to let you define what points you actually have, but it's set up essentially for you now. All right. And then the last thing that I usually do once I've kind of gotten the basic structure of the dashboard done is I almost always go to the logo page or the login page, because while most people don't see it, some people do. So on the login page, I'm going to start by uploading the logo that we have for this event. And update my size a little bit. Okay, click done. And I'm also going to reduce my size here a little bit to be about 50%. And click save. Now, welcome to the event. And then I'm going to change my actual login label colors to be the green, which I think is that one. Background color, I'm going to change my border width to be a little bit less. I'm going to make that square and change my button styling again to match what I did on the dashboard. So a button that looks more like that. Do you want do you want people to be able to log in with just their email address rather than having to set a password?
I'm going to say yes.
Yep, I agree. I've been doing this on all events. So I'm going to go into settings, turn on allow email only login. The reason I'm asking, that does a couple of things on the dashboard. It gets rid of the password, right?
Yeah.
And I'm also going to remove the forgot my password text.
Okay.
Because I don't need it because they didn't forget their password.
So as long as it's the one that we have that we put in attendees.
No, it's not even that. It's actually better than that. As long as they enter their email address correctly, they'll get logged in. Right. So rather than having to remember the password or know the password from the email that you send them, they simply have to know their email address that they registered for the event with, and that's it. Okay. Are you doing anything on the waiver step or tech check, or are they going just straight to the dashboard?
Would like to do the waiver and then the check-in, and then we'll close it after hours.
Okay, so with that, we're going to add this same thing here. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller.
The
And
good part is, remember her background was completely black and you would miss some buttons right here on this step.
okay, so disable the form. You're going to have to put the actual form stuff here. But I'm going to go ahead and change some of the button styling or styling itself. Okay. And in this particular case, I am going to increase my width a tiny bit, or my height. I'm actually going to decrease the width on this particular page to 8. And I'm going to add a little bit of a radius to just a little bit of rounded edges to the buttons themselves. Okay, so that's step 1. If I preview that, I'm happy, except for the fact that it says step 1. I'm also not happy with those particular colors. So where is that? So we're going to come in here, change that to be more in alignment, and come in here, same with the clipboard, change that to be more in alignment, and then forget that, change that to step 1. Check in, step 1. All right. So now I'm going to go to tech check. I'm actually going to go to Zoom areas. We'll make one called main stage. Click create. I'm going to go to Zoom areas. I'm going to click create another one called team room. Click create. And I'm going to how many people do you have doing tech check? With 30, I'm guessing just one.
Just one.
Yep. Okay. So then I'm going to create a new area called tech check. And I'm going to do a couple things with these. Number one, I'm going to come into the main stage and I'm going to point this to the main stage. I'm going to go to talk to my team and I'm going to point this to the team room. And then I'm going to go to check in, tech check, enable this step, change my colors. Nope, my colors are right because they pulled from the other one. I'm going to change that to team room, but I am going to customize the buttons. Complete my check-in. I'm fine with that, but I do want to update the colors to match everything else we're doing. So do that here. And I'm also going to increase the height a little bit and decrease the width and add a little bit of a border radius again, similar to what we did on the other pages. I'm not going to change the text here. I'm going to let you do that to be the text that you want it to be. But now when I enable this, I have it almost done. Now, one small step, check in step 3. This is actually number 2. So I'm just updating that. And there we go. Now, the last thing I usually do when I'm creating a dashboard is I actually log in as an attendee. So I'll go in, create an attendee called Blue Melnick, and add my email. And then I'm going to click and copy, open up a new tab, and see what it looks like when I log in. So number 1, this looks pretty good. Click next. complete my check-in would go there. Now I can't complete my check-in, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to check myself in manually by clicking here. When I do that, it takes me to the dashboard, which I'm happy with how this looks so far. And if I scroll down, I see welcome to the event. I see our host. I currently have 0 Love Brain points. Keep digging. I have a link to the page, the event dashboard, or the event agenda.
And I just need to open the sponsor page. There was a sponsor page.
Yeah, you can just go ahead and
Okay.
open that and add your sponsors, because at this point, the page, like the dashboard structure is done. So
Mhm.
now you just need to like that's the hard part. Once the dashboard structure is done, if you want
Yeah, you
sponsors,
just fill it in. Mhm.
yeah, exactly. You just click turn it on, add sponsors, and you're in a good place.
Mhm.
So I'm going to delete this and
And then we do the image waterfall. Yeah.
yep, all of that stuff can be just enabled and worked on. But you know, the core of it,
Yeah.
when you're creating a dashboard, is how do I get it to look, look like me? That's the hardest part of building any website, right? Like actually adding stuff, adding links, and adding more text, and adding other speaker bios. There's a that part is all pretty straightforward. The hard part is getting the design the way you want it. So for me, I like that because it matches a lot of Alana's brand. It feels in alignment for me anyway
Mhm.
with the event. And I may increase the event, the actual logo a tiny bit more. But outside of that, I don't know that I would change very much. But of course, that's me. You guys can do.
No, she likes it. She just said she does. She likes it. Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, there you go.
Thank you very
Hey,
much.
Blue, I have a
Thank you.
question for you.
Thanks, Blue.
I stepped away for a moment and it came back right as you said. That's a bug that we need to get fixed. Do you remember what the bug was a while ago? Looked like you.
Oh, so when he put the image in, it was longer. It was going
Oh,
down
yeah.
past the fold.
Yeah.
Um,
So what winds up happening is the sidebar extends or expands to fit the background image. And we don't really want it to. We want it to end where the content ends. That would be number one. If they're going to be doing some work on the sidebar, the other thing that I would say is the header of each section. You can create a background color, or you have to select a background color. I'd love to add an opacity setting to this, so that when, in this particular case, like if I look at, when I look at this in preview mode, it's a little funky because it's got these blocks. Oh, shoot.
you're not
Sorry.
sharing
Yeah.
anymore.
Yep. Yep. So in the sidebar, when you get to these areas that have the header of each element in the sidebar, it's a little funky. Now we could fix this and have it look less funky by adding a border that is the same color as the background and making it like 5 or 6 points, right? So now when I click preview, it encapsulates the white background. But I think it would be better if we had an opacity layer or an opacity setting so that we could actually either eliminate that background entirely or reduce it to make it feel a little more connected. So that's something else that we could potentially have the team do in that sidebar.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And in the blog post area, is
Mhm.
that the same where it's in the order you put it in, it's gonna go in? Is it still stacking like that? Can you move boxes now?
It's time and date based, right? So if I were to add another one,
Like if I'm gonna drop a video.
sure. So this is post 2. And if I click save, it puts it right up at the top. Now, If I wanted to put it underneath it, this one was published at 4:56. So all I have to do is make this same date, but before 4:56. So as long as I do that, swaps it around, I'm good to go. So most recent is always at the top, oldest is always at the bottom with the blog post sections. That's true of all of the templates for the most part.
Okay. And I forgot, what's the command in the blog post for the letter if we want to put their name in there? Is it the
Oh, it's you can actually in this particular dashboard, if you take a look at the welcome message up at the top,
oh,
you'll
just copy it?
yeah, just copy it from there. But essentially, it's the curly bracket, which I actually don't know what they're called, but 2 curly brackets opened, then first space name, and then 2 curly brackets to close it. And that works for first name, last name. It does work for email address, although I don't think, you probably wouldn't do that. It also works for any groups or custom fields that you import into the platform. So you
Clue for the blog post, there should be a variables drop down.
is there? Oh, that's inside. Oh, yeah. Inside the, is that there? Did we have
Should be
that?
there.
It is. Look at that.
Oh, one more thing.
Might
On
want
the
to share that.
page, want a hidden box that's the offer, that we can put the timer on so it opens up at a certain time?
So like a blog post, or you want a button?
A button.
Okay. So what you would do, Dorita, is basically, I would start by duplicating one of these buttons, right? So let's duplicate this guy here, and put this one on row 2, right? And it's link to the offer. You can make this whatever you want. But now what you would do is you go to rules and click show from. And if you, let's say I didn't want it to show until Saturday at, 12:30 p.m., you would just define it like that and click save. So now this link to the offer button is there, but when I preview it, it's not.
Gotcha. Thank
Okay.
you.
And you can copy that same function, show from. There's also show until. So if you wanted to, we have a client who this weekend, they put a pretty detailed agenda, time wise, not content, but actual like what time each session is on their dashboard. And they have an agenda section for day 1, an agenda section for day 2, and an agenda section for day 3. And rather than showing all 3 at the same time, what they want to do is they basically want to show day 1 right from the beginning, but then they want to show day 2 when day 1 is over, and they want to show day 3 when day 2 is over. So we use that show from, show until area for things like that, where it's like, okay, I want to show this section, but only for this window of time, if that makes sense. And I can give me a second. I'll actually open it and show it to you just so that you guys see it as, see what I mean in practice. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go into the event and go into dashboard. And you'll see this is what I mean. So day 1 agenda, day 2 agenda, day 3 agenda. It's pretty detailed. But if you preview, all you see is the day 1 agenda. That's it. Right? Now, if I were to go here and I were to change my date that I'm looking at this at, or as, to be Saturday, and click save, now you'll see the day 2 agenda is there. If I change this again to be Sunday, now the day 3 agenda is in place. Okay. And how we're doing that is all 3 elements are enabled right from the beginning, right? So if I go into the agenda section, the entire section is enabled for day 2, but under rules, we have show from 12 a.m. on May 2nd until 11:59 on May 3rd. Now, I actually think that date, I may have that date wrong. needs to show from that day. There we go. Now it's going to work properly. So, we do stuff like that fairly regularly with clients. So there you go.
And Blue, did you want to show the variable dropdown since we've mentioned it?
Sure. So what Justin was referring to was in a blog post when you go in edit mode. There is this little variables drop down. And if you're editing, you can go first name and it'll actually paste it in there for you. That's not true in all sections of the dashboard, but where you see, the full kind of little WYSIWYG editor, I guess, essentially, then you'll see that variables option to be able to just insert those variables automatically rather than have to remember exactly how to type it.
When we started the call, somebody asked about forms. And so in the blog post, if we're doing basically her love seat applications, which are the hot seat, she has to upload a form there first. Is that right?
Yeah. So so basically what you're going to do, so I'll create the structure for you. Remind me, what was the
Envision.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to features and forms. You're going to create a new form, call it love seat application. Click create. You're going to go in here, make some decisions, submit my application. Thanks for your application. And then you're going to create some questions. Question 1, right? You're going to short answer. Maybe you'll have question 2. Maybe this one will be a slightly longer answer. And then you'll have a third question maybe. And maybe this one will be radio. Like I want them to be able to pick option 1, option 2, option 3. So you add all of your questions here at the form level, save your changes, go back to your dashboard and click add a blog post and apply for love seats with Dr. Alana. And then some text goes here. And then you go into it and you select your love seat application and click save. Now, from here, this is a starting point. Again, I would say that we probably need to format this a little bit just to match the brand. So let me put in a little bit of text just so that I assume you'll probably put a small description of what they are just in case the attendee misses it. So it'll look kind of like that. But then you go into edit blog post form styles. And we're going to make some decisions. So label color, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. Input border, background color. I'm actually going to add a little bit of texture to this by changing that a little bit. Input color, I'm just going to make this pretty much black. Helper text color, you're probably not going to use, but I'll make that a little lighter black. And then I am going to change the button itself to be our green that we're using primarily for buttons. And then I'm going to change the button font size to be a little bit smaller because I think it's a little bit too big. And there's one other thing that I want to do. Form button radius there and click save. So now I've got my option 1, 2, and 3. I've got my text. I've got my question and submit my application. And essentially that's how you would do it. Now, if you wanted to make sure that that only showed up on like day 2 as an example, you just set the publish date to be when you want it to appear on the dashboard, and that's when people will be able to submit their applications. The other thing you can do with blog posts, you can go to rules and click show until, and let's say you're doing your hot seats on night 1, so you may want to remove the application after the love seat session, right? So then you would just click the show until, and then that way you could go in and manually just disable it like that. But for me, some of these things I'll do automatically because it's just a little bit easier than having to remember. We have to remember so many things as event hosts to begin with. Having to remember to turn off an application seems like it should be really, really low on the list. So that's something that I would do. Cool. Yeah, now it's just a matter of going in, Dorita, and making changes to the form to match the questions that Alana wants asked.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Thanks, Boo.
No worries.
Super helpful.
Cool. And hopefully this was helpful for the rest of you as well who are watching. Great. Awesome, Kat. I'm glad. All right. So I'm going to scroll back into our dashboard and see if you guys have submitted any questions while I was working on Dorita's dashboard. And see if we can get those answered in the 9 minutes that we have left. All right, so there is one question from Jaylene. Is there a list of items that we would need to build a dashboard and what format they should ideally be in? Yeah, that's a great question. So when you ask, like if you, Jaylene, as somebody who's in Leap, you can ask us to build your first dashboard. When you do, we do have a form. I can't remember where it is, to be honest with you, and it's possible that it may need to be updated. But we generally have a form that you fill out, and in that form, it includes the things that you need in order for us to be able to build the dashboard for you. The things that are, I think, most critical is already having a website that's ready to go. Having a logo that you've designed, if you have a logo for your event, that's on a transparent background. Like whether you're having us do this or others, like, do you see how from looking at the one that I just did for Dr. Alana, if I didn't have the logo as a transparent background, I'm stuck having to use that entire image. And now I have to, anywhere I want to put the logo, I have to use the entire image. And that's challenging. So having a logo on a transparent background, super helpful. Having really clean, simple images for backgrounds. You can use colors as well, but I really liked for that template anyway, that background image that we used for the top that had that little bit of a gradient, right? From purple to white. And then the subtle design or the subtle imagery of, it was like a brain with almost like a neuron kind of thing that it had going on. It created some texture, and it was one of those things that I don't know about you, but if something in the background of a page is too defined, now I get distracted thinking in my brain, what is that? What's that thing that I'm looking at back there? But when it's just subtle and it adds a little bit of texture, I kind of think, oh, that's nice. And I keep going, right? It doesn't stop me. So you have to think about when you're building stuff like this, how am I going to interact with this page? How are my attendees going to interact with it? And you're going to make those decisions when you build your sales page. When you build your dashboard, it's really about taking the sales page that you've done and having it look similar, right? So at that point, it's which template do you want to use? And then do I have the logo? Do I have a headshot? Do I have a little bit of copy for my welcome text? Making some decisions as to whether or not I'm going to do a waiver step, things like that. Now, they're all simple questions, really not a whole lot that's deep. We kind of started with not a whole heck of a lot in that process. And Alana was able to fairly simply, because she used Canva to design that poster essentially for the event, pull out the elements that we needed. So one of the things that I would say to you, and this is really, this is kind of critically important. If Alana had gotten a designer to do that poster, and then the designer gave her like a JPEG or a PNG file, like just a graphic image of the final artwork, we would have been, what's the term I'm looking for? I can't say it because we're on YouTube, but effed, right? So if you're going to have a designer do work for you, make sure that they deliver to you, in addition to the final artwork, a layered image, a layered graphic file that somebody else or you can either pull into Canva or Photoshop and manipulate, right? That piece is really important. Every time I ask, or every time I get somebody to do work for us from a graphic design perspective, that's an independent contractor, I always insist on the source files, because if I just want to make a simple change, like for that poster, as an example that Alana had, if she wanted to reuse that poster and just change the date, but she hadn't gotten the actual core files, like if she hadn't designed it herself in Canva and had somebody else do it, she would have to go back to that person and get them to make the changes. But because that's why it's important to just ask for like a layered source image so that you can make the changes you want to make the way you want to make them in the future, but also manipulate different pieces and parts of them. So that's something just to be thinking about as you're going through that. All right. Well, great question, Jaylene. Thanks for asking it. And look at this. Look at that. We're right at 7 o'clock pretty much, a couple minutes before. Again, hopefully this was helpful for you. Remember, we do these calls every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And sometimes there's much more questions than we had this time. Sometimes we take the opportunity to dive deep like we did with Dorita and Dr. Alana. So glad you guys like them. And thanks for being here, Alana. Thanks for your patience with me as I ask for different pieces and parts. And you had to rush to get it done before you had to take the kids to soccer? I think that's what I heard, something along those lines. Anyway, with that being said, guys, have a fantastic week. Remember, you can reach us via the support application by going to help or emailing help@obv.io, or between Monday and Friday, 9 a.m. to about 6 p.m. Eastern time, clicking on the chat icon in Obvio itself and interacting with the support team and getting your questions answered. All right, folks, thanks a lot. Have yourselves an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you next